One of the things in 12hive is the ability to create a site template. Now, the site template is what appears when you are in SharePoint and you're going to create a new web. So to do that, if we pull up Internet Explorer and go to our development site, so after we get to our site, when we go into the Create menu, we are given the option to create more sites and workspaces, or when we were creating the first site collection, we also had this option. What the templates do is control what appears in this box here. So the select a template. These, again, as we talked about before, are used to define pre-configured layouts, pre-configured sets of functionality so that they can simply spin up a new site to manage a project, to have a blog, to have a wiki, those sorts of things. And what we can do is create custom ones of these, either by going and using the configuration option of saving the configuration as a template, but this has a certain limitation. When you go in through SharePoint, you can save the existing configuration as a template. But what you run into then is that you can only access this saved file, so I could call this as my template, from within this site collection. That's helpful if you're a power user and you want to be able to spin up quick sub-project or meeting workspaces or that sort of thing. But it's not terribly useful when you're an administrator and you want to have the ability to create new site collections both more efficiently from the performance standpoint and then also across different site collections or at the root level of a site collection. These templates that you save through configuration can only be reused as webs. So to solve this problem, what Microsoft allows you to do is actually define your own site templates, or they're often called in this form site definitions. So these site definitions, so templates or definitions, are defined within the 12hive. And as we talked about before, the 12hive is stored at the directory of 12hive, c:\program files, Microsoft shared, common files, Microsoft shared, web server extensions, through that whole long path which I showed you before. And within this, there's a directory called the XML directory, the 1033 XML. Now, the file type that becomes important to look at here is the webtemp.xml. So to create a new site template the manual way, we have to create our own webtemplate.xml. So we would name it webtemp, whatever you then want to call it. So let me show you actually on the file system how that is. So what you see here is that for each of these different groupings of site collections, webtemp search, webtemp SPS, webtemp whatever. So what you do is you name a file webtemp and then whatever you want .xml and put it in this 1033 XML directory. I will show you how to automate this process later on, but I want you to know that that's where the important files are. They're contained there, and they all have to be named webtemp. And what this does is it defines what site templates actually show up in the menu. Now, this is an XML file, and they're pretty straightforward. It defines a listing of templates and then allows you to specify the different names, the different locations, and things of that nature. So what you can do is define a configuration element, and then you can also define different image URLs, descriptions, whatever you really want to do to be able to allow this to be seen. So I've switched out and now showing you a different template here. And for each template, there is the general template name, so STS1, which is just the standard template name. But then it also allows you to define what inside is called a configuration. Now, this configuration, there can be multiple of these, and they're basically slight variations on any of the different, what's what I'm looking for? Any of the different definitions that are created in another file. Bear with me, and you'll start to understand what I'm talking about. This has an ID of 0, and they each get their own ID that's incremental. It allows you to specify the title of it, which is what shows up on the menu when you're selecting it, and then also allows you to specify the preview image, as well as a description for it so that you can tell your users, okay, what would you use this for? And then finally, in each configuration, you tell it what is the display category. And this display category corresponds to the tab that you use when you are creating a new site. So if I go back into Create and go into Create a New Site Workspace, the display category is this tab up here, the collaboration, and then the display name is this item here. Now, I don't think that you will be able to exactly replicate this right off the bat, and I will post some additional resources for you. The objective here is just to get a general understanding of what the different components are. So the takeaways from this section should be that to define what web templates show up in our environment, we need to create a file called webtemp in yourtext.xml, and in it there are template configuration elements. That's what we need to remember right now. Now, this just told us what is going to show up. It didn't actually give us any sort of definition. It didn't help us any further to actually define what is in the template.